Right. Who's having a whale of a time in the background? Somebody's having a laugh.
Hey, how you doing?
Alright, so she did vote for Trump then.
The first go round, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't vote the second time they voted.
Okay, how are you?
I didn't vote the second time.
Okay.
I'm doing good. How are you?
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
But I'm not a Trump. Let me put a disclaimer. I'm not a Trump supporter. I don't go around Trump.
Okay.
What I did had nothing to do with Trump. I'm not one of those people. You'll never hear me debate politics.
Okay.
I wasn't a Trump. No, none of that.
No,
had nothing to technically do with Trump.
No, you're a prophetess, ain't it? So you're a church lady, ain't it?
Yes.
All right. Well, welcome to Bless Radio. You're live to London. Yeah, in the heart of London, literally.
Yes.
We're about 4 miles from London Bridge. About a mile from London Bridge.
Okay.
So you're right in the city of London. All right. So take it away, Sharenika.
Sharenika.
I call everybody different names, you know, because what it is on the Skype, some of the words are missing. It's just dots, so I have to guess the rest, isn't it?
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna start recording on my end.
All right, you ready?
You ready, Bill?
Yeah, go through.
Okay, we live on Bless Radio on Unified Platform, coming all the way from United States of America. Your host, Sharenika Lachey, co-host Jasmine Williams, and our special guest that we have today is Prophetess Antrionetter Meadows. This is a topic that you do not want to miss. And so, call in with your questions, call in with your statements, comments, or whatever it is at 079-444-31366. This radio station is based out of London, UK. And if you missed the if you missed the whole segment, you can catch it on blessradio1.com. So today we're going to be talking about how can you live when it seems like everything around you dying. You know, everybody debates about, if it's dead, it's dead. You can't bring it back alive. And so, you know, a lot of people have different debates about dead situations and about leaving it alone because the dead is dead. You buried it. So everybody got different opinions about dead situation, but you have to get a revelation on your own situation, on your own dead situation, because it can get life brought back to that. But we got a special guest that can speak on this and help someone and help many people that have a dead situation, no matter if it's whatever situation, no matter if it's finances, no matter if it's marriage, no matter if it's family, whatever it is that you feel like that's dead or dying in your life, it still you can bring back life to it. And so our special guest, she's going to give us the background, where she came from, what all she do, but I'm excited. So y'all fasten up your seatbelts because I'm ready my own self. So welcome, Prophetess Antrionetter.
Thank you, Prophetess Lachey, for allowing me to be on y'all platform today. Yes, ma'am.
So tell us.
You want me to introduce myself?
Yes.
Okay. As you heard, I'm Prophetess Antrionetter Meadows. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 5, 4 girls and 1 boy. I have a regular job, but I also do ministry. I train and equip people. I come from McDuffie County, which is Towson, Georgia, a little small little country town. My mom is still living. I'm the daughter of Brenda Johnson, and I'm the daughter of late Jerome Johnson Sr., who passed away 5 years ago. Well, August the 18th will make 6 years this year. I'm someone that prays for people. I deal with atmosphere. I deal with deliverance. I'm a person that just help people according to how the Spirit leads me to help them. So that's pretty much what I'm about and what I do.
Gotcha. That is amazing. So let's talk about like experience in life. Have you ever experienced a dead situation or something that seemed like it's dead in your life, and it seemed like did you feel like you had to bring it back to life? How did you handle those situations? Because a lot of people out here are battling with so much, and then with this coronavirus going on, this pandemic, like a lot of people have a lot going on that's in the house and suffering from anxiety, suffering from people dying in their family, like suffering from all different type of dead situations. Like people, marriage is going bad. A lot of different stuff is going bad with people being stuck in the house. So can you elaborate on what you're comfortable with elaborating on what that situation that you had experienced in your life, and basically how did you overcome those dead situations? Because your story and your testimony can help the next person that's listening overseas.
Okay, I have a lot of them. I technically don't been through. I don't been through the ringer. So it's like too many topics that I don't know and got revelation on. I'll give you two. I'll give you when I thought. I'll talk about my marriage, and I'll talk about being a mother that is married, husband in prison, and children having to go stay with their grandma. Me being homeless and still got to preach, still have to minister, still have to get up and make things happen as a woman who at this time is walking through a wilderness by herself. So I'll say around like 2015, I was going through a lot before then where I always struggled financially. But this particular time, my dad died. Altercation broke out between mom at this particular time. So I left the house. She was like, you got to go. So I left. At this time, once I left, I didn't have anywhere to really go. So I began to search around for somewhere to go. By this time, my dad had left insurance money, but I gave all my money away. So to family and all. And when it came down to it, but the thing was, before this happened, this was the consequences to me not obeying what I supposed to do with my finances. So now I'm walking into consequences that were not necessary, but because of what I did not do that God told me to do, I brought consequences that now God is saying, you got to walk through the process of this. So with this is by my own mistakes. With that, I just was like, okay, I'm going to have to go through it. So we went from, we slept in the car, but my husband's grandma let my kids come stay with her. So here it is, a mother by herself, nowhere to live. Then she has to go stay with a friend of hers from her mom's church. And going through so much. Now I'm a mother that don't have anything, don't lost the car that I did have, kids that with their grandmama. I'm broke. I ain't got no job. Everything just pretty much what you would consider death to. So it was just like, okay, ain't nothing revived, ain't nothing living. So what do I do? Only thing at that moment I could do without losing my mind was speak that something was going to happen, even though it looks like there was no possible way of getting out of this. So it was a 3-year process. Process. Through that process, I lost people. They died. They left. People I could talk to, they were no longer here. And that was my dad and Pastor Eric Dawson. And I'm walking through it. I'm battling in ministry. I'm going through warfare in the church. I'm going through warfare with family members. I'm going through warfare when it comes to my kids. People threaten to call defects on me. Me going through a lot that people really not seeing because I'm so busy building other people. And I had to go back and search myself, like everything in me is dying, but everybody around me, I'm reviving them.
Wow.
But I'm dying while you look at me with fresh air and fresh breath in your body. You look at me and you walk away in freedom and liberty. You look at me and you walk away and say, wow, I never been delivered like this before. You walk away, but yet I'm caved in a dead situation. And now when I leave your presence from reviving you, I now got to find strength for myself to revive me.
Wow.
But not knowing that in my helping others, I'm suffocating privately. Everything is not going well. So, as I go through this process, God finally opened the door. When he opened the door, I spoke life into it. My kids like, what we gonna do, Mama? All I said was, it's gonna happen. God's gonna make a way. It's gonna happen. We coming out. And every day I would get a ride to different areas to search for a house, to search for a job, to do this, do that, and the third. I prayed and God said, go back to the last job that you left wrong.
Wow.
So me being a person, I'm like, I ain't going back to that job. And I went back. I dropped my pride. And because I obeyed God, it opened a door for me to get a home. My car broke down. And then when my car broke down, that looked like a dead situation with no money. It didn't break down like my cars normally would. Anytime my car broke down, it always broke down due to tax season. Around tax season, my car would break down. So I automatically know I can go get a cash car. No, it didn't happen that way this time. It broke down when we was not near tax time, around about August or September. Now I got to have another level of faith to go on a lot to get a car.
Wow.
So now I don't want no car payments because I lose cars with car payments. But at this time, I had no choice because now I don't got my kids into a situation that is better, which is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, backyard, front yard. And now I cannot not get a car.
Right.
And I had got a word about God say he gonna make you go on a lot to get a car because your faith got to come up. So now I go on this lot. I sowed a seed. This woman, God said she's seen keys. When she said she's seen keys, I sowed. I said, okay, God, I'm going. I went. It didn't look right at the beginning. But the money ended up coming through. My kid's grandmama ended up getting the money, letting me borrow it so I could put a down payment on the car.
Wow.
So I end up leaving out of there with a SUV for me and my kids and my family. Now I'm a mother, husband in prison, doing this by herself. So I knew I can tell people that just because somebody married don't mean they ain't walking alone in certain situations.
Wow.
Other people see marriage as a union, but you don't even know that their marriage is pretty much hanging on the rocks or either dead. Most people think when it's two people, you're doing it together, when sometimes in marriage, it's only one person that's really doing it.
Wow.
So now I'm walking along with a significant that is not present. And when he was present, wasn't present.
Wow.
So that thing already was like it was dead.
Wow.
So now here we are in two dead situations. God reviving one and one still on CPR. One still on the antidote. One still got anesthesia in it, but trying to pump life, but it seems to not get no breath. So now, what do we do about this thing right here that's on life support? Do I pull the plug? Or do I let it stay on life support until God start to bring these things back to life? And I started looking at it like it was a body. Okay, what are we going to do about the spiritual lungs? The lungs will help the marriage breathe. So now God got to put some breath back in our lungs so that it can strengthen, so that this marriage can have some type of breath to it.
Right.
Now let's look at the kidneys. The kidney is the conversation that we couldn't have because every time we try to speak, something malfunction in the relationship. So God, now how you gonna revive this kidney? Because we can't function in communication with each other. So God gave me revelation through the body. Now, even though there is breath in the lungs, just a little bit, my marriage still it's still not breathing. Breath and breathing is spelled the same, but mean two different things. Because some people can be breathing, and the breathing is at a low rate, but they have no particular breath. And so therefore, when they lose their breath, there's no life. So you can have a level of breathing in you, but they say your breath level ain't up to where it needs to be. So now we still ain't properly functioning because there is no breathing. There is no life to this thing, even though everybody else thought it was life. So now here we is transitioning, trying to fix the marriage. Husband on drugs, alcohol, so much going on. And me, God is still saying, you got to do my will. But this is an issue. And then I began to understand that I was addicted to the addict.
Wow.
So I was an addict myself.
Wow.
So God had to tell me, Antrionetter, you're addicted to the addictor. So both of y'all have a dysfunctional addiction. So only way I can help you and help him, I got to get you clean first.
Wow.
So I'm looking like, okay. So you tell, he said, yes, because when you're in love, you are addicted to that thing. You are addict. You can't let it go if you wanted to. So now I can do something with it, but I need willing participants to do something with it because I'm not going to make you do it. So what God did with me was he freed me from my addiction in my heart first. Meaning I will no longer be tied to something that is malfunctioning to the point where I help you stay addicted to your addiction.
Wow.
Because I understood if you're in love with an addict, you will feed that addict whatever they need, and you're not making that addict go to the point of getting deliverance. And you're so busy concentrating on their deliverance, and you're an addict yourself. So now I'm like, I got to move back because you my drug. You're my choice of drug. So now I need to let God revive me and free me from being so much of a connection that I'm taking on the functions of an addict.
Wow.
Because we're one, so I function like he do. And what I thought was normal was dysfunctional.
Right.
Because I knew what to expect. So now God has to get in it, or either he removes it. So me, I'm not looking for God to revive it. I want a divorce. Divorce me, give me the papers, I'm through, I'm out. I don't want to hear nothing else. First time I got divorce paper, he barbecued them and cooked sausage and stuff and put fire. So I'm just like, okay, God. God says, see, you're trying to get a natural divorce. But in order for me to fix him, you need to divorce him you need to divorce him spiritually first.
Wow.
See, I can't fix him because you're his God. I can't fix him because every time he get in a rut, you run to the rescue. I can't fix him because he has two addictions, you and it. And he'll run to you before he run to me.
Wow.
So I need for you to get out of the way. So I got out the way. To him, it seemed evil and nasty. But at the same time, the addict is living while I'm dying.
Wow.
He living. Because he's pleasing his flesh, but I'm dying. Because I'm addicted to your flesh.
That's deep.
I'm addicted to you.
Girl, you gonna put chills all over my body.
So now, how do two addicts get free? So I can no longer pray for God to free him. I had to get free myself. Which will cause and allow God to move in. And now we're going through the process of deliverance in this marriage.
Wow.
That can speak on every level of what it is. Deep insight. I'm giving y'all the surface of this thing. Deep insights. Things people just don't know what an addicted family go through. We was addicted and we called our kids to be addicts. To where they had to break free and say, this is not God. And we keep going this way, this is not what God meant for us to have. So God let my kids' eyes open because everybody in the house was addicted to dysfunction.
Wow.
Dead situation. Now we had to start all over again and allow God to revive what once was dead. And now I'm able to speak to other people when it looks like there's no way out. You have to come in tune with yourself first before you can try to fix anything in your house, even your finances. What are you so addicted to that's consuming you, that's killing everything around you? Because you ain't admitting that you're an addict to what you're trying to get rid of.
That's a word right there. I'm trying to keep up with the notes.
Yeah, that was deep. I love how you compared it to the body, like going into organ failure, because you know when the kidney messes up, everything else follows. And so when you identify what the issue was, you helped everything else, just like it was on life support, and it wasn't like you wouldn't even breathe. Your purpose and your life wasn't even breathing on its own because you was in the process of complete organ failure because of that one kidney, because of that one organ that wasn't in God's will and that had to be fixed. And so it's, man, and that was deep.
And I really feel like this session today gonna be a group therapy for the nation.
Right.
It's gonna be a group. This is deep, and the beauty of it is that you can tell when somebody have came out and somebody have conquered something because you're able to talk about it.
Yes.
It's a lot of people afraid of people's opinion, afraid of, oh, this person gonna think this, or this person, they gonna misunderstand me. I really wasn't saying it like that. I'm scared they gonna say this. Like, it's so many people are not free because they so afraid of what people gonna think. That's your story. That's your story. That's your story. It's not like somebody bashing nobody. It's not like somebody like trying to belittle you. That's your story. That's just your story. And sometimes people's story will keep them in bondage. People's past will keep them in bondage because of worrying about people. So a lot of people that's listening right now, even in UK and either other listeners, are getting free right now just from your testimony, because some people cannot open up what they're going through. It takes a strong
their marriages when they know it's a dead situation.
Yes, it takes a strong person to be able to speak on this. When I tell you, you need to be doing like some global counseling, because man, I'm over here just taking notes, just like But so one of the questions, so basically, like, people came to you to get charged up when they feeling weak or feeling like I'm giving up, I'm tired. Everybody come to you and pull on you to get charged up. So my question, do you ever feel like you're obligated to charge them back up?
Yes, I did. And the reason why, and God had to reveal this to me. The reason why I felt like I was obligated is because I needed a need to feel wanted.
Wow.
Because I felt not wanted in my marriage.
Ooh.
I felt not wanted in my family. I had no close relationship with family members. So if you needed me, you fed my cravings. And because you needed me, no matter how tired I was, I felt that there was a love, even though it wasn't. Even though I knew you was using me, I felt good that you was using me because I needed to feel wanted.
I'm going to have to save this recording for myself. I'm going to have to save that for myself. That was good. And you don't open up my eyes on a whole nother level. I didn't even look at it on that way, because that's something I also, because a lot of people come to me and pull on me. And I never looked at it in depth. Okay. Let me pull it back together. Bring it back. So, another question. Since you're so strong and, okay, that's basically like the same question. Like, a lot of people depend on you for encouragement. Let me stop that right quick. How do you get through these different processes without losing your mind? Because anybody else that would have went through what you went through, they probably would have killed themselves. They probably would have been took a whole bunch of medication, or probably been like literally went crazy, and people wouldn't even recognize who that person is because they would have been that crazy. Like, how can you go through all of this stuff and not lose your mind?
Actually, with me, even you saw y'all saw some of my things when I was sick and I almost died a couple of times due to illnesses, and still got up. I'm gonna say the ultimate where I got through, I had God. It just period. I just had, and at the end of the day, I had to have something in my mind to tell me, this is not your end. This is not your end. And I had to keep saying it. But I came to a point where I didn't even know crying existed anymore.
Wow.
Because when you're so strong, tears are hard to find.
Tell me about it.
Crying is not an option, even though you need to do it. Crying wasn't an option, but I found out because I wasn't crying, there was a level of me dying. And I wasn't dying in a good way.
Wow.
So when I found my tears again, I found my release.
Woo. That made me shock.
So in my tears, this is when I was getting free. So every tear I cried, the first tear, I'm freeing you from abandonment. I'm freeing you from not being wanted. I'm freeing you from stress. I'm freeing you from heartache. Every tear I cried was a tear of a release that the enemy did never want me to get released from. So I learned that my tears were valuable to my freedom. So now when it's time to cry, I cry because there's value in my tears. And that's how I kept myself going. I will go behind the closed doors and I'll cry. I'll go behind the closed doors. And when I scream, my scream was a breaking me in my flesh so that I wouldn't respond the way I wanted to. So I'll kill all what needed to be killed off in silence. In a silent scream. So I'll go behind closed doors and scream. I'll go and I'll shout because my shout is reviving me from me releasing what I need to release through a scream and through a tear. So I learned how to work all of it together for my good. So at the end of the day, I can come tell somebody my story and say, this is how I didn't lose it. Strong don't mean you don't cry. Strong means that a strength comes from when you can understand your weakness. And when you can understand that I'm not strong because situations make me strong. Matter of fact, in God, I ain't got no business being strong. I come weak. So when I exchanged, I did an exchange. It's how I kept my mind through every situation I've been through and going through now. I learned the value of my scream, my tears, my praise, my worship. And that's what helped me keep it together to this day.
Wow.
Yeah. Question. So when you pour out the way you do, and you ended up, when you pour out as much as you do and you end up empty, how do you replenish? Like, how do you fill back up in order to pour out again when that time comes? Being that, with the situation, like it is.
I'll say with me, at first, I'm the type of person, the type of people at first, and I'm just learning this now, how to do this, so I'm being honest. I didn't know how to do that at first. I know how to run. You know how people, God let me look at a gas tank. Some of us will drive to it, totally get to E, and we'll be praying to get to a gas station before we run out on the side of the road. And that's how I would do spiritually before I even think about letting someone pray for me or someone pour back into me, because I thought I was obligated to run no matter what I got in me, even if I'm empty. Because I knew how to do that, because I knew how to function being malfunction because I was dysfunctional.
Wow.
So I knew how to do it even though I was malfunctioning. I knew how to do it because I knew how to go through dysfunctional situations. So I did not technically know how to get revived and reflourish and replenish because I only knew how to run off what I made myself feel like I had, even though it was malfunctioning. I still had the mind to articulate things and say things in such a way people can grab it. But when I get off, everything is breaking up. Until I came to a point where I knew this is how I revive myself. I step back, I pull back, I don't say nothing. I get in prayer, I get in worship. I fast, I go get poured into. I say no. And that's how I learned now that it's not good to run off malfunctioning things, malfunctioning everywhere in my body, just malfunctioning. It's not good because eventually it's going to blow up. So when I feel that before I start malfunctioning or before I start to get dehydrated to a point where there is no life, I step back. And sometimes it's scary. I'm learning to say, no. This is it. I'm shut down. I'm going into hiding. So that's how I do, and then I'll call somebody, and I'll get pointed to, or either I'll go and I'll listen to this teaching, doing things like that. If it's 3 months, 6 months, I do it, and then I come back and I'll be ready.
Man, that's a blessing. That is a testimony. So I have a question. It's kind of off topic. When did you realize or find out that you was a prophetess?
I'm be honest with you, we didn't grow up in church like that. We was Baptist, and we didn't go to church like that. I would see things and hear things when I was little. I could get revelation, but I wasn't smart in school. I was dumb as a box of rocks, if you'll say. I was an F&D student. I was horrible. I was the life of the party, but failing educationally.
Wow.
But I really knew I was called to some. I knew I was called to something because I was not understood by people. I was weird. I would do weird things. I hang out with weird people. But when I started, because I was a big club. Okay, I'll go to the club, and then my brother started talking to me about going to church. I'm just like, look, I'm not no church girl. I'm not going to no church. So I went to church, and these people were, prophesying, and I'm looking like. So I'm looking at them like, what is this? It's weird. But I kept going back because I thought it was funny and it was amusing to me. I wasn't going technically to find out who I was. So I got a prophecy from the late Pastor Eric Dawson. And he told me some things that was going on with me. I wanted to fight Jesus. I wanted to fight God. I wanted to fight him. Because I thought he was a human. So I'm just like, I want to see him. I want to know who in my business. Because it's going to go down right here in your church. So I wasn't trying to know what this stuff was. But as time went by, I began to read, study, pray for wisdom, pray for knowledge. And he said, first I started out as an evangelist. And he was like, no, you're more than just, and I'm just like, I don't even know what that is. So I started studying on certain prophets. I'm more like a Yahoo. I'm one that break codes from the background. And when you see it coming, I know systems. So when I started learning my system and code, breaking systems and breaking codes and all that stuff, I'm just like, and when I opened the word, I could get so much revelation, and I ain't never been able to get revelation on nothing I read. So I knew I was called, and then that's when one night I had a vision, a dream. And in that dream, he literally came to me and said, you are this. And confirmation came through others. Well, confirmation came to that it was something else that I was. But God wanted to just smooth me into this next place by saying your prophet. Hey. And now I'm finding out technically is not mainly that. That is a strong function of mine.
Come on, Apostle.
I'm stepping into it. So now I know the difference, but I know I'm called to the office of a prophet to an extent to help other prophets develop. But I'm called more to order and structure than I am anything. So
that's what I'm gonna ask. Like with other people that don't know, like let's say somebody's gifted and they have the gift of prophetism and they don't know it. Like how can you explain what the voice of God sounds like? How can you encourage somebody who may think that or be in denial about it and don't know?
The first thing you know that is God, you fight it. That's your first key. That knowing God talking to you. You fight it, and it's not pleasing to your flesh. Because anything that enemy gives you is going to please your flesh. You're going to agree with that quicker than you do anything. Another way is you technically can hear and see, but you don't really know what it is, and you're afraid to tell others around you. because some people around you may not believe such a thing. So now you're in the bind between what you're known to life as to be from what you are experiencing spiritually, which is causing a wedge between what you're used to and what you're unfamiliar with. So what I'll tell that person to do is to literally, first of all, breathe. It is not going to kill you. You're just prophetic, or you're a prophet. You breathe and you adjust your mind to understand that I'm opening up to another arena that I don't know nothing about. And this is when you got to start to wipe out what you know by putting in what you need to know about who you are, so that you can start getting the tools and the training you need to operate as a prophetic voice or a prophetess or a prophet. And get into your position of what area God is calling you mostly to deal with when it comes to the prophetic arena. So those are some ways to know and to deal with embracing. It's just who you is. Everybody's not going to understand it. Everybody's not going to get it. And you can't be afraid to say, I'm called to this, because we are, us as prophets and people in the church, period, we are the most people that fight our identity. And we're the most people that get beat down when it comes to our spirituality than any other thing in the world. So most people that are called, they're embarrassed or they're afraid to come and say, I'm this, because they'll get challenged in that. And most people, because they don't know the word like that, when they get challenged, they don't want to get challenged because they're like, I'm learning. But you get trained through challenges. I know what I know through challenges. And when you challenged me and I didn't know it, I was going and go get the revelation on it. So you can't run from challenges even though you're a babe in it. Take those challenges, say you don't know, eat it up, write it down, and go get yourself more educated about it. So when they do come up again, you're boldly walking in who you're supposed to be at that particular moment in your life. That's going to come with saying this is what God called you. You're going to be challenged.
Wow. Why do you think
challenge is to perfect you?
Right. Why do you think people are afraid to go for it?
I think people are afraid to go forth. I'm just going to be real. First of all, what the church is looking like right now. What we're looking like right now. We're looking horrible. It's true. And they don't want to be affiliated with that. Now they say everybody want to be apostle, everybody want to be, but the ones God raised up don't malfunction so much that God is removing them. And he's raising up a generation that is not of that kind, of that fold. So people are afraid because they don't want to be affiliated with the negativity. Then they're afraid because they cannot articulate who they are. They don't know the basics to being a prophet, being a teacher, being an evangelist, being a preacher. They don't know the basics. And some people make them feel like they got to wait 30 years to do it. And some people literally feel like they ain't got 30 years. They got to obey God now. So it'll cause a friction in the church because it's a lot of cultic stuff going on. Like, if you don't do this, I ain't raising you up. So it's a lot of stuff going on. So a lot of people would rather back off and say, I'm just not dealing with it, than to go forth. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm in that place, even that where I'm like, look, I don't want to be affiliated with none of this. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be affiliated with none of this. Now, I'm still a prophet, but I don't want to be affiliated with that. So it will cause you to say, I need to back off. And you don't know that you're part of the remnant that need to be raised up. and he's removing the ones that need to be removed. So you gotta be among them so he can separate the wheat from the tare. So we're all among them, and that's why people are so afraid to come forth due to the response of other people and how other people will look at them because they ain't been in church 40 years.
That is good. And then also with that, with my experience, a lot of times church people try to put you in a box. They feel like they know what God had for your life, how God's supposed to use you. Church folk, let them tell it. They God. They know how God got your life planned out. They know you better than God know you. Let some church folk tell you. You don't supposed to look like this. You don't supposed to act like that. You don't supposed to talk like this. And you don't know what God called that person to. And so sometimes church people will not. Well, a lot of times church people put people in a box, and they don't even have a revelation on that person on what that person's supposed to be doing. And if they end up taking it out of context and they end up like manipulating and getting that person's ear, they can have that person operating a false identity, and that person think they wrong, and the whole time they was obeying God, but now they disobeying God because now they operating in a whole nother identity because of church people putting them in a box.
And when you do that, most people that do submit to that, they don't want to be called bastards and orphans. Because you know they quick to call you that. They call you a bastard, you're an orphan, you're a runaway. You're a runaway. You're a runaway slave. This is basically what they're saying, really. You're a runaway slave. And you're supposed to obey me more than you obey God. And that's not the case. Even Paul said, should I obey man or should I obey God? I'd rather have you mad at me and call me all kind of names than my dad, than my father do. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to answer to your disobedience.
Right.
I went through a lot in church because I'm the one that ain't going to sit in no box.
Right.
So leaders always had a problem with me. Leaders always had a problem with me. Because this is something that I'm also going to be training and delivering. Anytime you are dealing with deliverance and God is calling you to deliver people, your presence is gonna make situations break out in ministry. Your presence will make demons rise, and everybody look at you and say, "You the problem."
Wow.
Because deliverers always cause something to be chaotic. Jesus, every time Jesus came on the scene, some demon came forth, and he ain't said a word.
Wow.
So when you walk in deliverance, you're going to shake up things even when your presence is there. And you're going to look like you're causing confusion.
Wow.
So I always had problem with leaders. Because when I walk in the room, it's already an uproar. I ain't saying nothing to nobody. I'm in something. And I'm looking like, what? I ain't never talked to this person. When you're a deliverer, your name will be being stuff among people. And then because them demons are already trying to destroy your name because you came in that with the deliverer in you. So that causes a whole lot of warfare due to what you're called to do. So when you walk in the room, don't look for peace because peace ain't going to be there. You come to shake up what's been hidden the whole time.
Right.
So that's what a lot of people are afraid of. Being called a witch, bastard, orphan. We more scared of people than we are God. We more scared of pastors than we are God.
That's
everything got to be ran by a pastor. That ain't even biblical. If you got to run everything by your pastor, that's your God. You even got married women doing it. They won't even consult their husband, but they'll consult the pastor. All out of order. And that's what's going on with the church. Every decision you make, your leader got to know. What? That's not what? Then guess what? Don't pray to nobody but your leader. Pray to nobody but call their name in the name of whoever your leader is. Because ain't no need of calling on a name that you don't obey.
That's true. That is good.
If my leader don't say marry you, I ain't gonna marry you. If he don't say don't do this, I ain't gonna do it. Forget you, God. Because he know God's voice. God been took the middleman out a long time ago. We lead you. Our job is to lead you to God. Your job is to obey him.
Right.
Why do you think it's so easy for some leaders to take on that to abuse that position of power so often? Because they seems to run a lot of people from the church, as well as to confuse the people that's already in the church. But a lot of people, they come and they see that and they just like, what do you think it is about leaders sometimes that causes that to happen?
I'm glad you asked. Because the Lord really revealed this to me. Most controlling leaders have a 2-year-old mentality. They have never gotten attention when they were little.
Oh.
They are still in a baby form, trying to rule people, and because they took what was God to use it against people that don't know God for themselves, to enslave them, to feed their 2-year-old I didn't get attention mentality. They still dealing with kindergarten issues because one know about their friend. It don't start now. No one, they could control nobody when they was 5 years old. That's why when you lead a church, they talk about you and tell other folk not to deal with you because they're still 5 in the spirit.
Wow.
They just got a little education under their belt how to manipulate people. But they're still 5 years old. And every time you leave the church, they go back to that 5-year-old little boy and girl and whine because you left. And now all their friends in the church can't talk to you.
Come on now.
You better preach.
So you're dealing with mature worded people, but they have children mentalities. They just know how to word it good. You got big leaders like that. They're just more educated to cover up that my friend didn't play with me when I was 5. And now you want to leave my church and you don't want to play with me no more. Wow. So now I make all my friends at the church have a meeting about you and tell them don't fool with you because I ain't got over the fact that they didn't let me get on the swing when I was 5. So what you do because you're mature and you lead or you do what God called you to do, you brought back something in them that they were not delivered from. So now everybody around them that ain't been delivered themselves gonna treat you like they were treated when they was 5. We ain't gonna talk to you.
Wow.
Everybody that do that with them, all of them are kids that never been delivered from being a child that didn't get no attention. So now you have grown adult leaders throwing spiritual temper tantrums. And kicking and screaming, but trying to do it in an intellect way and a wisdom way so you won't figure out they actually having a temper tantrum. Wow. Because they can word their temper tantrum on an adult level.
That's good.
Yeah, I think a good thing that would help with that, and what would help other people and encourage other people who are trying to still want to be a part of a church and still value being up under a covering. I think it should be a way where leaders put in place something where they're able to be held accountable because they're human too. We can't just look at them and say, okay, you perfect, you got to be at this certain standard, which they do. They do have a certain standard that they need to hold themselves to. But all of us fall short. So I think that a good thing for a lot of leaders to do would be to put something in place so they can be held accountable, so they can be let known when, they're stepping out of place or they're acting out of those fleshly, those things that cause them to be controlling or be overly spiritual, or take just get all caught up in the attention and not be as focused on giving it to God as much as they are taking it in themselves.
That, and a lot of leaders need deliverance. They need deliverance themselves. They need to go tell somebody that at 5 years old nobody talked to me. So I'm overprotective. I'm overpossessive over the people. And so when they get ready to leave me, I flip out. I talk about them over the pulpit. I do this. Get delivered. Sit down somewhere. Then what we have to do is, with leaders, is I've never been afraid to tell a leader the truth about themselves, whether they want to hear it or not. But most people are bound to, you can't correct your leader, you're a lie. David questioned Saul, why are you trying to kill me? Leaders get confronted. But when you don't know the word, you'll just say, no, I ain't saying that because Lord gonna kill me. Why the Lord gonna kill you for questioning who you say watching over your soul? How he gonna kill you because you're questioning the person you believe will come out their mouth about your soul that's malfunctioning because you fooling with them?
Right. You can't be a successful leader if you're not willing to admit when you're wrong as well. But what are you teaching people besides, to just be strong? I mean, when you're a leader, you have to be strong, but you also have to exemplify, that it's okay to be weak.
Yes. And admit your flaws. Because I ain't mine in a minute. If I ain't praying and seeking the Lord's face, I'm gonna probably, and you say something out of the way, I'm probably gonna cuss you out. Because I'm more flesh than I am spirit. So I'll be honest with people. This is my thorn. So what you got to do as a leader is be honest with. Transparency is the new ministry. Tell people the truth, because this is what we're getting caught up at. The reason why God is exposing, because too many lies going across the church. You acting like you're something that you're not. So God says, since you didn't want to expose yourself, I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody see your dirt. Because you're so busy being other folks about their dirt, but you don't want to expose what's yours. So God will use people that don't mind exposing you to expose you. So leaders need to be able to take corrective criticism, because just because people ain't got a title or they ain't got a church don't mean God ain't called them to correct you. See, what they do is they look at people that's in the pews like they ain't nothing. And most people that's in the pews actually carry more oil than people that's in the pulpit. They just got the title of it. And most people in the pews ain't gonna play with God like the people that's in the pulpit do. That's the difference. They'd rather come hear the word and go deal with what they seeing behind. They'd rather do it without being in the front. Because they don't want to make God look ashamed. But a lot of people want the mic. So they'll try to get their name out there and all this crazy stuff. I don't be knowing what be going on with people. But people that want attention is because they never got attention. People that want to control people never had attention. Never had nobody to say I love you and pay them any attention. So we're dealing with a generation that was before us, with us, and God is raising up a people that is not going to be that way. It's going to be more of getting people to their destiny, and you doing what you need to do as a leader and pushing them out the nest for them to do what the call of God is on their life. Period.
Right.
That's all it's about. It's about making God's name great. It ain't got nothing to do with us. We're the participants in the call. That's it.
Yeah, I see that a lot, and it sometimes it bothers me, but I guess it kind of helps me to remind myself that they're imperfect, but they have a responsibility to deal with those things themselves, so it doesn't because one bad apple spoils the bunch, and you can set up a whole vision and a whole purpose by letting that stuff, because it starts at the head, and that's just something that a lot of leaders need to consider. Because I mean, you have some transparent leaders, but they transparent about the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
It's those things that they don't want to deal with. And I mean, we all got stuff we don't want to deal with, but it's those things that really affect, you know. But I mean, you'll see if it's just like you were saying about the body. You could compare that to, you know, your congregation. If it's not going nowhere, there's something out of place. There's something that needs to be fixed. There's an organ somewhere that's causing the others to, you know, not function the way that they need to. And so that's when leaders take it upon themselves to, you know, say, hey, it's something that I'm not doing right, because if not, you know, everything would be flowing, or everything, you know, things would be there would be prosperity in the you know, in the situation. But that's just, you know, if any leaders are out there listening, you know, just don't put yourselves above God's purpose, and constantly self-reflect, because you are responsible for all the people that are following you, all the people that are up under you, and you have a responsibility to them and yourself to, you know, take those steps to do the same things that you're asking of people, you know, to do. So moving forward, I want to ask you, so I think, don't you have a book that you're working on?
I have one that it's called my first book I wrote is called Courageous Woman of God. Courageous Woman. Tears of pain equals tears of joy. And that's my first book I wrote. I haven't been pushing it like I should, but I'm gonna start back pushing, because a lot of people that read this book is like, look, we wait for your lesson to come out, because this book is good. They read it in one day, and like, look, your book is great. I love it. And it basically letting you go through some of my situations that I've been in. At the end, you don't know what happened with the woman. You don't know what's going on with her. But this is really based off this is my story, part of my story. So I'm going to be working on the second one concerning this. Courageous Woman, what season she's in then, because this book is going to be like a season, like a trimester, of pregnancy. Until at the last book, you're going to see the whole baby being birthed. So I'm treating that book like that. So I'm going to start working on that in the middle of this year. But I got another book out. Lord, I be misnamed because I had rushed and wrote it, because when he told me to write it, I wrote it. So
And while you're looking it up, how can people purchase the book from you, the ones you have already out?
It's
or how they can find you on your social media to hit you up to get a copy of the book?
You can hit me up. My name is Antrionetter Johnson Meadows on Facebook. On Instagram it's Antrionetter Speaks, and then you can follow me on Clubhouse if you're on Clubhouse. That's Antrionetter Meadows.
And spell it for the listeners so they can.
ANTRIONETTER.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to tell you, it's what I did. Let me get the name of my second. You can find that. You can actually order.
You made a mistake and mute yourself, prophetess. You on mute. Okay, you back now. No, it's back on mute again.
Okay, let me get this. You can actually go purchase this, and it's $2.90. Let me get it. and you'll see my name on the book. I wrote it, and it's called "The Day I Got Tired of Being Broke: What I Did Different." You can go to Kindle, and it's a free read. It's a you know how you can do the partially free read.
Yes.
And once you do that, you can purchase the book, read the rest of it. I wrote it and I put it on Amazon myself. I published it myself on Kindle. Did all that. But the next book I'm working on is it's dealing with marriage, but it's gonna be dealing with an addict being addicted to an addict. So I'm dealing with that book now. And an addict ain't just a drug addict. You're gonna see a lot of different things that I'm dealing with when it comes to being an addict. And then my one of the other books that I got wrote that I'm gonna be working on most likely at the end of this year is Lord, let me get it, because I got like 10 different names of books that I'm writing. And this book, I would say, for the wives to get, in the married people, are those women that want to be married, and it's going to be dealing with silent crying wife, a wife that is silent, a wife that is fighting so much in her marriage and things like that. I got like 4 or 5 books dealing with marriage and stuff. So we're writing that and getting that wrote, and it's gonna be a lot coming forth with books. And I got confirmation that it's a good little bit of books I'm supposed to be writing, but I have been slacking off that. But I have all my titles, and I'll be writing 2 this year. I'll be publishing 2 more books this year, and then I'll be continuing. If Lord will, I probably could publish more than that. But right now, it's 2 main books I'm working on to help people. So but those 2 books you can order off Amazon and Kindle. You can do Courageous Woman on Amazon. I haven't got my website and stuff up yet, so you can order the book through me. So you can go to Amazon at this time and order it. I'll be getting my website up sometime next at the beginning of March, so that people will be able to go order the books through me. But right now, you can order them strictly off of Amazon, and you can go and look at the other one on Kindle.
That is amazing. So I got a question.
Okay, so
you go
before
first.
you start, Shay, we were coming up on our halfway mark, so I just want to thank everyone for tuning in so far. If you missed the beginning of the segment, you can catch the live replay on blessradio1.com. Call in if you have any questions or comment at 079-444-31366. We're live on Bless Radio on Unity 5 platform, coming all the way from the United States of America with your host, Sharenika and your co-host, Jasmine. Today, our special guest is Miss Antrionetter Meadows, and we are discussing how to live in dead situations. So let me give it back to Shay so we can continue this great conversation. She's been a great guest, and we've been really going in deep. So if you haven't been listening, like I said, you can go back and catch the replay and finish up on this segment.
Hi.
Yes.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Hello. Check 1.
Yes. I can bless.
Hi. I've been listening. Yeah. I got a couple of questions still.
Ice water.
You got some questions, bless.
Yeah, you know me already. You know when I come questions, I got some questions. You know what I mean? Right.
All right. You don't made him talk because he don't know. He normally stay quiet the whole time.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. All right. How you doing, sister? How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm good. Right. I got some questions for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Question number 1. Yeah. First of all, What started your journey in the first place that made you started to believe in Christ? What was your first experience to make you say, "Wow, I got to change my life around"? What happened?
What happened with me was it happened around the age of 18. I was at the club and they were shooting. It was one way in and one way out. And as we was running, one of the dudes got shot in the arm by me, and it was in the club in Warrington. The real, and they got shot. So we're taking off running, but by this time, I'm just going to church with my brother because he getting on my nerves. I'm not really trying to know who God is, Christ is, or none of that. But one that night, I went to my dad's house because I was staying with my dad, and I went to sleep, and I had a dream, and this dream may sound real strange, but this dream started off as me seeing this lady. But when this lady came, she said, "Hey," but then that next morning I woke up. Give me a spoon. I woke up. The water's in. I'm sorry, y'all. The water's in the refrigerator. I was in the room with my dad, and all of a sudden I had this vision of a black sheet fell in front of me, and the same girl that was just came and said, "Hey," she walked up to me. She was like, "Hey, how you doing? Good to see you again." I'm looking like, "Okay, hey, how you doing?" She had blonde hair. She was like a mixed color, and she gave me this newspaper. But when she gave me this newspaper, she was like, "Read it." And when I read it, I really didn't read it. Now, remind you, at this time, I never picked up a Bible. I never read the Bible. This is how I knew God was talking to me. I never picked up a Bible. I never read a Bible. This girl took me around, and she was just showing me stuff. And then I went to this dark place. And in this dark place, it was quiet, but it was very, like, tensed up. So as she was talking to me, she was like, "Yeah, you know, we living our life the way we want to live it." And she was like, "Yes, I'm having a good time." And all this, me not paying attention to her words, she was talking past tense. So, I was talking to her. So after we left this dark place, we went into this room, and it was real cloudy. And all I heard was numbers being called. It was a long rope. People were sitting down on it, and numbers were being called. And people would get up and go. And and at this time, we were just talking, and her number was called. She said, "You did not look at the newspaper." She said, "Look at the newspaper. There were 3 people in a car accident, 2 males and her. All 3 died. Her number was called up. She said, "I didn't make it." And a hole came and it swallowed her. I came back too. At this time, my dad didn't know what was going on. He was like, "You just went out." So I called my bishop, Bishop Dawson. He said, "Antrionetter, that's in the book of Revelation. Numbers being called. A long white pavement. A long road. Clouds." I knew nothing about this stuff. And when he said that, I got on the phone. I said, "Oh, what's going on?" He said, "I'm calling you to have a relationship with me." And that's when my journey began, to know that I needed to change my life for the better, because I just experienced somebody that didn't make it, and I didn't know nothing about none of this.
Okay. All right, so it was a dream and a vision. Right, next question, yeah? How do you know, yeah, that what you've seen on your experience with God, yeah, how do you know it is really God and not something imitating God?
How I know? Because anything that's imitating God will come in the form of a person that's dead and gone. Meaning this, the enemy will use someone that's familiar with you to come and speak to you and it's actually it come in a demon form, but because you missed that person, it's coming in another voice. This voice will speak to you as yourself. This is how you know when God is speaking. It will speak to a part of you that you know down in the inside of you that couldn't nobody else speak but God. I knew the difference between God and the enemy or God in another voice is because God would teach me, God would speak to me in an opposite way of what I like and what I want to do. Because what he does in his voice with me is he challenges me to get another level of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. The enemy keeps me comfortable in what I'm in. And when the enemy keeps you comfortable, it's more of a familiarity that will speak to you than it's something that you're not familiar with. So familiarity will be the voice. Anything that's outside of familiarity will challenge you. So that's how I know the difference between God's voice and a familiar thing. A familiar voice comes through a dead thing, which is demonic, to keep me stuck or to keep me bound or to send me down a road that'll end up being my death. So that's how I know the difference between God's voice and a voice that is a pretender. Because a pretender only gonna speak to you but so much. God, when he speaks, he gonna bring revelation to what he just ain't gonna say to do this and be that, and there's no revelation to it, and then you don't see the outcome of the situation. The enemy will lead you down the road that look, it's a results to it, but at the end is your grave. So I know the difference when the grave is speaking and when heaven is speaking.
Okay, because sometimes people get dreams of like their parents who's passed away or something like that. So if they got a dream or get a warning or a message from their granny or their grandfather that's passed away, you're saying to me that that might not be real.
What I'm saying is you got to, if you are not spiritually in tune, something can appear to be something that is not. Now, if God do allow this voice to come, it will be because it's a voice that you're familiar with, because you're not paying attention to him for yourself. So only way that you will see God use this is, like you said, he can use that person or that voice as a warning. But when you look at this thing, most people, okay, a lot of people looked at the movie Bird Box, right? A lot of people thought, I'm going to give you an example of what a lot of people misjudge this as and how you can get it confused. They saw that because the people that were dying said they were seeing something so beautiful. And they seen their parents and they wanted to go with them. That was a demon. Because God ain't going to tell you to kill yourself to be with your parents. But because there was no intellect there, they were so broken that their brokenness spoke to them and told them to come be with me. But why would God tell you to kill yourself to be with your parents and use your parents to bring you to a place called suicide? So you got to know the difference between, is it God allowing this, or am I so much in, and I'm so broken that I'm bringing these familiar spirits to me myself? Because sometimes we can call things to be and things that we think we're seeing because we're so broken and we want it to be true so bad that we want to see them from the other side. So now I'm consumed with seeing my parents. So now something don't brought the form and you don't know what door you're opening. And it can sound like it's a warning, but it can come in a form of warning just to open a demonic door that you are not quite looking at, that's behind the warning. That's why I tell people, watch what people say and what's behind their words. Because what's behind their words is maybe something you're not ready for. So you got to be careful with all of that. Because this thing can be either way. This is why you got to have a spirit of discernment to know, is this really God doing, or is this a portal for me to step into a demonic realm? Because most people I've seen that deals with stuff like that, they end up losing their mind. Because my grandma spoke to me, my dad spoke to me, and then a year later, 6 months later, they don't flip out. Why? Because they opened the door to a demonic realm they did not know behind. All because they was focused on the dead person talking to them.
Okay.
That technically wasn't talking to them.
All right.
It was a demon.
All right.
Because everybody that died don't go to heaven. So you got to know the difference.
All right. There's a little part in the scripture, yeah? In the book, it says, it's forbidden for a woman to preach in the pulpit. Now, are you familiar with that part in the Bible? It says it in the Bible, yeah? What's your point of view on that?
I'm glad you asked. Now, someone just confronted me about this 3 weeks ago. Now, this is where we're getting confused that when Peter said, when Paul said that. Notice after Paul said that, when you go look in the Old Testament, in the book of Genesis, when they was talking about a woman not speaking, they were speaking to the Roman culture. Because when they were having a meeting, the women were over talking in the meeting. So what Paul did, because Paul was not all the way delivered, Paul started speaking, but did not have the full knowledge of who God was. So what Paul began to do was speak on the intellect level of the Old Testament. And when you do look at farther into that scripture, it has nothing to do with women of today. Because if you look at scripture, the Bible says there's male no female in me. God used Deborah and them to preach the gospel. He used Deborah to judge the office of men and everything. So women were called prophetess in the Old Testament. But this particular group of women was stepping outside their boundaries. So when Paul was teaching it, the Bible in Acts also say that Priscilla and Aquaria, or whatever her name would start with an A, saw that Paul was teaching wrong and taught him different. Now when you begin to keep reading, Paul said the greatest apostles among me, all that taught me, were two women. So when we look at that scripture, we take it as literal without doing, a lot of people take it as literal without doing background checks on what that scripture means. Now Paul
come on, Revelation,
and tell you that the women taught them. The greatest one among me taught me, and it was Priscilla and Amira. And these was his cut that corrected him on his gospel. So therefore, when a lot of people say that, they don't have revelation. It's just, that's the only scripture we point out. But it does not verbatim mean what it means. It has something to do with the Roman culture back in the day of women overstepping their boundaries. The men couldn't speak in a meeting, but because the women were bickering at one another. And Paul took that teaching from what he known to bring it into, because remember, he killed Christians when he was Saul. So now, in order for him to be taught right, the women took him and sat him up under a tree and taught him right. And he gave credit to them. Okay. So, that's what that scripture means.
All right.
Has nothing to do with women preaching today.
All right. So
we just delivered 1 million people.
Yeah, I had to fling it in because you see, a lot of people still hold that part very, they still stick to that, and with certain religion, they don't allow women to speak anyway. So that's why I brought that up. Lately, the first thing I asked,
no, Jehovah's Witnesses don't.
Yeah, they don't, and a lot of other religions don't, but that's them. When you first came on, the first thing I asked you is, did you vote for Trump? Yeah, that's the first thing I asked you. You said no.
Yeah.
Right. Now the reason why I asked you this, is because I done a little bit of research this week, and I've realized that a lot of these mega pastors all prophesied that Trump was going to win the election. All of them. Yeah, I could call at least 10 of them that prophesied this. All of them were wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So that now looks bad on everybody else. What's your point of view on that?
I'm glad you asked. See, let me tell you something that a lot of people are getting wrong. Okay, when you look at the book of with Saul and David, before David became king, the people wanted a king so bad they didn't even want God to speak to them. So God said, "I'm going to give you a king that you want," because most of us looked at the slave, the racist thing. But now, the reason why I voted the way he told me to vote, I wasn't one of the American pastors out here telling everybody to vote for Trump. I wasn't doing all that. I was going to vote for Biden, just like the majority. But with me, the revelation came to me, it had nothing to do with Trump or Biden. It got something to do with our children. Everything that's in the White House now is not representing God at all. But let me tell you what this is where a lot of people are going to get it confused. As long as the enemy can make what you are offended by a big deal, you will miss what God is really saying. And you would call other people wrong that were technically right. How can Christians and witches about the same president? There were witches that were praying for Biden to get in office. So here you got Christians praying with witches that this man get in office. Why? Because the people got what they wanted. Now you see some people going back saying they wish they would never voted for him. Because now what we're going to deal with now is things that hitting our kids. So I voted because I looked at my kids in the future. I didn't vote for me now, or what we was going through technically now. I'm looking at what my kids gonna have to fight when I leave here. So my vote was predicated upon the future generation, not the present one. And neither one of these presidents are right. Neither one of them. Ain't now one of them good. But now, with that, things can look wrong that was actually right. And things that the Bible said, what we say right, what we call right gonna be wrong, and what we call wrong is gonna be right. So I believe those mega pastors took it too far. I believe that should have been done personally. And if you wanted to speak on it, you spoke on it. But to try to convince people is something I never did. I did not know I was going to vote for Trump until the day I went to the ballot and I began to insert my ballot, and I was told don't do it. I was looking for some more people to vote for. Neither one of them is good. Both of them are evil. But I looked at the future of my children more than I looked for anything. Now, what are we going to do about these spirits that's telling little boys they're girls and little girls? And most cultures don't like stuff like that. What are we going to do about now some women rights about to be took that a lot of people are not reading on? What are we going to do now that we thought that this man was praying on the Bible when that wasn't the Bible? A lot of things the church missed. And when they said in the name of our own religion, they did not say in the name of Jesus when that man prayed. So a lot of things everybody looked over because they wanted black. They wanted the black woman in office with no revelation on what's going to really go down. So I voted because I looked at the future of my kids more than I looked at the present state of what's going on now. I don't like now one of them. So I'm not no person that's right here Trump Biden. I did what God told me to do. The second time they voted again, I didn't touch it. I did not vote no more because he didn't tell me to vote. I didn't vote no more. So I left it what it was because I don't get in debates about that. That's not my portion. I did what I was told to do that first time. I left it alone. I intercede for my kids and other folks' children. I do what I need to do on my end and let those that are dealing with politics that God called to it deal with politics. That was strictly for me. So with that, that's all I really got to say about it, because I don't debate when it comes to that. Now I will give you scriptures to show you why.
No, it's not. No, it's not even that. I was just a little bit focusing on all these fools, all these preachers that said that Trump was going to win and he didn't.
Yeah.
And what does it look like now in the church? It's made the church look bad.
Yeah.
No, the only thing I have to say about that, Bless, is it, to a certain extent, it could have made the church look bad, but not really, because at the end of the day, even accurate prophets be off sometimes, and that don't make you a false prophet just because you missed it one time. If you were always,
that don't make you a false prophet.
If you're 100% right, then you're perfect. You won't even need God if you're always an accurate prophet. That's where training come in at, and that's when you getting challenged in training. So therefore, well, somebody probably heard the wrong voice or whatever, but you're a false prophet. Because a lot of people, what kind of disturbed me with that, a lot of people was getting called a false prophet because they did say that Trump was gonna win. That don't make you a false prophet because you said God said Trump was gonna win. That was just something that you just missed it, and only thing you just do is, God forgive me, I missed it or whatever, and keep it moving. But that don't make you a false prophet.
I think they're false. I think it's a false. I think so. When a prophet prophesies something and it don't come true, you're a false prophet. Simple.
That's not technically true. I'm finna prove it to you.
Okay.
Because let me tell you, prophecy is conditioned. Meaning this, if I prophesy that the Lord want to make you a millionaire, let me help you with something. If you look at the Bible, the prophecy concerning Saul was true. But when Saul disobeyed God, matter of fact, let me take you farther. When Deborah told the king that God was going to allow him to overtake the other king, the king told Deborah, I want you to go with me. Deborah went with him. Deborah said, because you wanted me to go with you, God would not deliver the king into your hands. He would deliver him to a woman because you decided not to follow the guidelines of the prophecy. So prophecy is conditioned. And when the king did not do it the way God told him to do it, guess what happened? God delivered the king into a woman's hand, and she hit the man over the head with a nail in a thing and carved it into his brain, because the king did not do the obeying of God. So everything that a prophet speak, if it don't come to pass, is not the prophet was false. You were not conditioned, and you did not obey the prophecy to make that prophecy come to pass. So every prophecy is not false. Prophecy is conditioned upon the position of the person that the prophecy was given to. So if I tell you you're going to be God said that he wanted to make you a millionaire, but you spending your money in everything, and God is telling you to save $300 a month or $300 a week, and now you're not no millionaire, you haven't walked into a status of a business. Now you're calling me a false prophet, but you don't win about every Gucci in the store. It wasn't that I was false. You were not put conditioned for the prophecy to come to pass. You got to do something yourself too.
Not only that, people who are prophetic are constantly under warfare. You not only just listen to one voice, you got the enemy trying to speak to you at every point, trying to confuse you and trying to get you to confuse other people. And you cannot expect imperfect people to be perfect and to get it on hit the nail on the head every single time. If you expect perfection, then I don't know what you. I don't know. It's just people's belief system is. I agree.
And it's because of this. People want people to be accurate so much, but we're not accurate in our own personal life. Mistakes happen with every person. Whether you're a prophet, whether it's parents that don't told their kids stuff that ain't coming to pass. That don't make you a false parent. You missed it. So with that, every prophecy that does not come to pass is not on the prophet. It's on the recipient too. And what I tell some people, it's not that there was a false prophet, you're a false recipient. You did not do your part to make that thing come to pass. And that is throughout the Bible. That don't happen with so many people.
And but not all of that, I don't know not one prophet that can say they never missed it and they got it right every single time. They will be prophet lying and telling a lie.
Exactly. Exactly, because
can't no prophet say they got it
can't
every single time. No prophet can say they got it every single time.
Nobody.
Not only just that, but if you think about the whole thing as a whole and God's purpose in this whole thing, this entire pandemic, everything that's going on, even, Trump getting into office the first time and all the stuff that's going on now with the new president, I feel like God is trying to draw the people of God closer to him. And if you got people that's constantly waiting on prophets, you got people that's constantly waiting on an answer from a prophet, and nobody's looking to God to hear for themselves, of course, yeah, he'll let them be off the mountain one time. Yeah, he might allow them to be wrong so that you can reposition your mind and your hearing to hear from God for yourself. Because you're not doing that. You run around here, you want to listen to soothsayers, you want to listen to prophets, you want to listen to everybody else except trying to listen to God for yourself. He will use the prophet for his purpose for you to listen, for you to hear. But if he don't want to reveal something to you, he's not going to reveal it to you.
Because let me tell you something. I tell real prophets are. I don't prophesy off a command. I'm going to say demand. I prophesy off a command. Because God commanded us to do something. He told Elijah, I command you to speak to the bones. I don't operate off of demand. I do command. And a lot of prophets are missing it because they're too much doing demanding than commanding. And this is why they're missing it. Because you are allowing people to make you speak on subjects God didn't call you to. That's why after that one time I spoke never again. Why? Because I was not commanded to speak on it. So I shut my mouth. Because if you do it off a demand, you are the people's God. Which will cause you to get in trouble with him because you're so busy trying to give them answers that they should get in their closet and get for themselves. So you right about that, Jam.
All right, we got a caller on the line, yeah? All right, Lims, what's your question, bro?
My question, I'm just going to say hello, hi, everybody, you know what I mean?
No, what's your question?
Pardon?
What's your question? What, you're phoning up to say hi?
Well, the question, I was like, you know what I mean? I was like told to phone in and like, you know what I mean? Sharenika, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm Lims. For those that don't know, in America and across the world and stuff, Lims comedian, Lims Ali is what they call me. Yeah, no, definitely, like, like you're, I've done a lot of stuff, do you know what I mean? Like, in UK and Europe and more or less across the world, I'm African. But, yeah, like, no, it's been deep. It's been deep. I'm not going to lie, I've been listening the whole time. I've been listening and it's deep. I'm not really going to lie, like, literally, and it's just like, the question is, obviously, it's not even a question, to be honest with you. Like, I've done a lot of stuff with, like, royalty and stuff like this, and won awards. I'm an award-winning comedian from UK.
What you want, man? What's the question, bro? Ask a question.
The question, don't push me, don't pass me up now. I was supposed to be on at 11 o'clock UK time. You know what I mean? I'm on that cool, like, what, not 23. But at the end of the day, though, like, now, what do you feel like? You see that in terms of, obviously, you got strong beliefs, like, with the young people, because I see what's happening in America, and I've seen what's happening in Europe, like in England and Africa and everywhere. But in Europe, it's a lot where the young people need that guidance, and where it comes to, like, where for them moving on to the next step, like for the looking up to the older generation. I'm 31 myself, yeah, but I've got younger brothers and sisters, and I've got like older brothers and sisters, and I've got accountants and people that are just all out there, you know, that older. But it's just like one of them ones where I feel like if you can catch up with my speech, because Americans, you lot speak fast, but your language is like, yeah, you know what I mean? And then I miss two bits. But what would you say in terms of like, you see God's guidance? Because I grew up to Allah, innit, yeah? I'm not like, obviously you lot are all coming, like from what I've been listening to, it's all coming from a Christian background, if you get where I'm coming from. Am I lying? Right?
What's the question, brother?
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna get to the question, but I'm
Hurry
talking.
up, man.
I'm talking to. Thank you, Sharenika, for having me on. But I'm listening to. I'm trying to ask a question where it's just
You're
like,
really
do you
trying.
feel
You're
like,
trying really hard.
like you see with these new school young people, do you actually feel or think, yeah, they've actually even got God in their hearts? Because this is an important question. I'll be honest with you. Because in England, the young people are going crazy. Like, they're doing what they want to do. Like, God's in their heart through their parents, through their elders, and the youngers, obviously, they need more maturity. But I'll be honest with you, growing up with them and growing up around him, and me being 31 myself, I realized that God is come out of a lot of young people's hearts. Do you understand? They hear it, don't get it twisted, from the older generation, because God, yeah, you need to, Jesus, like Allah, and Judaism, whatever, Jewish, whatever you want to believe in. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like, do you
what's your name?
actually think the younger generation actually have, you know, the mentality, and they've been looking up to it, or do you feel like they're just following their religion due to their parents, or are they just following it because, yeah, just like my mum taught me, my dad taught me, my uncle, my auntie, my cousin, whoever taught me, yeah? Or do you, like...
All right. That's the question. So, the question...
Okay, I understand what he's saying.
All right, Lynn.
Yeah.
I understand what he's saying.
That question that put me to sleep, you know.
I believe he was saying, do you think about the kids? He said, like in Europe and stuff, their hearts and them needing God and all that. And do you think that a lot of people are following their mama and what their dad and them taught them? Me personally, I knew of church. I came from a Baptist background, but we never were. I wasn't taught to pray and read the Bible or none of that. So technically, I didn't really come from a Christianity background. My grandma and them told you if somebody hit you, you fight them, you cut them. I came from a background of defending yourself. I didn't come from a background of knowing God and praying and all that. I didn't know that. I didn't have a big grandma, a nanny or all that harmed and all that. I didn't have that in my life. So with that, I come from a different perspective because I'm one of those kids that wasn't grew up knowing all of this. I became a Christian. I say a disciple, I don't say a Christian because it's a background to Christian. But I became a disciple. So I would say yes, they need God in their hearts, if this is what you're asking, if I'm not mistaken. And you can pray for them, but you can also ask God to lead them to someone in that area, or not even in that area, to help them to get to where they need to be, to where their attention span can be focused on getting a relationship with God for themselves, so that can help change their life. That's like one of the first steps I'll say take for me.
I think what you're saying is right, and what I think Liz was trying to say is that some people, let's be honest here, like say in my religion, a lot of people I've noticed here, the children are just following it, but they're not really understanding it, and that goes for a lot of faith. And I think the best way of portraying yourself is being a role model. for your children. So when they do try and understand the religion or faith that you believe in, they understand it with wholeheartedly and openly. So they're not being suppressed by it or being oppressed. Yeah. So I think religion is a very delicate issue here, and I think something that you, like you said, you didn't have much of a faith, but you found faith through Christianity, and you're content now, and that's giving the fulfillment in your heart and soul now, and you've changed. Like, let's be honest here, a lot of us just follow it, don't we? We just follow it because my dad took me there.
Yeah, because even with me, I was raised up in the church. I was raised up in it, and I chose to go do something else. I chose to not believe because I felt like I don't believe in the Bible. I don't believe in God. This stuff ain't real. They just trying to make me believe what they believe. And I still went my own direction and ran what's comfortable to me. But I ended up running right back to it. But I still have a different belief system. But everybody has to do what works for them. Everybody, if that what works for you. But at the end of the day, so,
I mean, in my religion, obviously, you know what it is. We've also got certain sects in our religion where someone does this, someone does that. And I'm part of a group of a family, right, where they do certain things and I don't agree with them. So I'm like outcasted because I decided, no, this is not for me. It doesn't make sense to me. If they want to do it and say that's how they believe in it, and which is absolutely wrong, because what they're doing, I understand what he said. The kids are just following it. The grandfathers are just following it. Forefathers are just following it because my granddad did it, my father did it. I decided to look into it and read about it, and I said, you know what, doesn't make sense. I drifted away. So I'm sort of like a person in the family. They look at me in such eyes, and she's a black sheep of the family. Keep away from her.
Wow. So
you have to do what makes you content.
I was raised in a split household. I had a part of my father was Christian and he was a Baptist, and my mother was a Jehovah's Witness. So everything was always so confusing. But I think what the caller was asking, part of what he was asking was, I guess he thinks that all hope is lost for the new generation that's coming up, and he was trying to figure out if God is still in their hearts, even though they're they may be wayward. And I feel like I know
God is always in your heart,
and he created he is inside of all of us. And just like Antrionetter said, the best thing you can do for the people that are on your heart, because you could be called for intercession and not know it. You could pray for those people and pray that God find ways to help them or give them the same enlightenment, just like you're listening today and you got something out of this call. You could encourage them to listen in to Bliss Radio as well, to maybe get something out of it. And there's a reason for everything. God works in mysterious ways, but no, hope is not lost for this generation. I think this generation of people that's coming up is going to be a lot better, because the Bible says every generation is weaker but wiser, and I think we're just weaker to this world because we're not as strong as our ancestors, but we're a lot wiser and we understand stuff a lot quicker and a lot better than the older generations, because they tend to get stuck in their ways, and the new generation is catching on a lot quicker, and there's a lot of wisdom that's coming up. And so no, I don't think hope is lost. I think it's actually there's a lot of light at the end of this tunnel that we're going into.
All right. And I'll tell you this also. I have 5 kids. I'm considered a millennial. I just got a lot of wisdom to me, but my children are like the millennial, like they the new generation coming up. So my kids, one of my daughters went to school, and they was talking about God didn't make them. They were made by monkeys and stuff. So my children begin to have a different outlook on who God was. But me, not afraid of hard conversations, I let my kids sit down and tell me their thoughts. My kids want to question why so much evil in the world is God is real. You're doing all this praying, but it looks like we're going through the most hell. I let my children express themselves. I tell them the truth. I tell them my truth, and then I tell them the truth. And then at the end of the day, guess what my kids do? They come back because now they feel in their heart they needed to get saved. They needed to get right. Why? Because I didn't force them. See, back in the day, people forced their kids to believe what they believe. I don't force my kids. I pray for them to get a relationship with God themselves. I just guide them, and I answer questions to the best of my ability that I can answer for them. So the older generation that are older than the kids growing up now, you can't be afraid of hard conversation and to have hard conversation, even if you feel like you're not going to know the answer. Get the answer, give it to them, and then allow God to do the rest. Because I have kids that are very intelligent, and they're going to ask 1,000 questions. And I have to be prepared for it. And by me being prepared for it, they are now getting their own relationship with God.
Well, I have a question.
And that's what you can do.
I got a question. You said something a minute ago. You said something like you said your children was going through hell and blah blah blah. Now the question I'm going to ask you, the majority of the churches put the fear factor of this hell thing into people. Now the question I'm asking you is that, does this place exist, and how do you know it exists, if it does exist, or does it not exist?
I'll tell you, with me, I'd rather be safe than sorry. I believe that there's two entities. I believe that there's God, and I believe it's that the devil. And I do believe it's a special place for people that do not obey God. I'm not a hard hitter on hell, heaven. I'm not that one. I guide. I give you what the Lord gives me, and I don't beat the fear in my kids, because what I learned through trying to fear people, you make them really go out there more than coming in, because you already made it look like they're already doomed. So with me, it all comes to a level of wisdom, and you can't make people believe what you believe, but I do believe that there is a hell and a heaven. I believe that. I would never try to make other people believe what I believe. I'll only speak from my experience, from the visions and dreams I have had, from things I have experienced, from me knowing that the enemy will ride your back, from my experience, from me experiencing, and one of my daughters actually going through a transformation in the spirit, and she didn't know what it was, but all she seen was a lake of fire and tunnels, and the enemy was there. So it's really about you having your own personal experience.
Well, the reason I asked that question,
give our personal experience to the best of our abilities, but I do believe that.
Well,
I believe that.
Well, the reason I asked that question, there's a reason why I asked the question, is because there's a lot of young people killing one another nowadays, yeah, and they believe that they don't believe that there's any consequences for the lives that they're taking, yeah. So that's why I asked this question, because people need to know for themselves whether this thing is real or not. And the lives that these young people are taking, it seems like they believe that there's no consequences when they leave this earth for the lives that they're taking.
And there is, and yes, sir, and there is consequences to that. And it's consequences, especially if you don't repent and change your life. I do believe you reap what you sow. And these days, you do got to, it do say that people are going to be wicked. Their hearts are going to be wicked and cold. We're seeing that. And a lot of young people do believe that. And I tell mine, there's consequences. And at the end of the day, you leave here and you done something and you ain't repenting and got your life right. I just don't believe, even though you're my child, that you're going to see the kingdom. I can preach all my life and still go to hell. I believe that. If I don't do right and if I don't obey, I don't care how much you preach the gospel and speak in tongues, you can still go to hell. I believe that. If I'm doing something wrong and I call myself a woman of God, I'm going to be down there with the rest. I'm going to be in that place with the rest of them. But people don't understand hell is not really down. It's a portal you go through when you're going up. But none of us, I tell people, we'll never really know until we leave here. I believe that there's consequences to your life.
Yeah, but this is a belief thing. But you have to know. This is the thing you have to know for yourself. You know what I
You
mean?
gotta know.
So
And
when you're telling people what you believe, but you're not sure. It might not even exist. It might exist. You need to know.
Me personally, to me, I know for a fact there's a heaven or hell because I don't see hell to a certain degree when the enemy and I don't see demons. I don't see it at all. So I believe that there's a hell. My 12-year-old daughter had a dream and she went to hell and she was running from the enemy and God grabbed her. She believed in hell. So I personally wholeheartedly believe in hell because I have personally experienced demons and seen demons for myself. So I know for a fact they're real.
So how did you overcome it?
I ain't gonna tell you no story. I was afraid. I was scared. I was terrified when I first seen demons. I wouldn't get out my brother's car for at least 2 hours. So me, how I overcame it was, first time that ever happened to me, I called my bishop at that time, and he's still my bishop, but I called him. It's like, Bishop, I'm seeing demons, and it's not these demons that everybody be claiming they are, but some of them was black and they was different forms and shape, and I was just like, I'm not moving out my car. This is when I got delivered, and the demons I got delivered from followed me back home. And I could do, he said, begin to pray. I began to pray. I went to my dad's house. I could see them trying to come down off the ceiling, and I'm like literally about to go crazy because I don't know. And I just started to call on the name of Jesus. Every time I called on the name of Jesus, one would go, and before you knew it, they were all out my room. So that's how I knew for a fact demons are real. I have seen people turn demon possessed. I don't cast demons out of people, so I know demons are real. I know hell is real. I know that demonic forces are real without a shadow of a doubt. But I overcame it through prayer, and I overcame it by knowing the word of the Lord and calling on Jesus, Yahshua. And with that, when I see it, I know what to do. I know who to call on, and that's how I overcame it when it comes to demonic forces.
I'll leave it to the girls now. I said my little piece, but I will talk to you again, though. You know what I mean? I'll talk to you again. But yeah, that was very interesting.
Let's look like he sound like he got more questions.
I have got more questions. I have, but it's your show. It's your show. So
yeah, I think we got to bring her back on the show.
Yeah, grab back your show. Grab back your show.
Yeah, so we wrapping it up. I thank everybody for tuning in. We got 3 more minutes to 7 o'clock. And if you missed this segment today, I'm telling you, you better go catch the replay. You can catch the replay on Bless Radio, the #1.com. Bless Radio, the #1.com. It's on and also on YouTube as well. Catch the full segment. Like, share, subscribe. But I'm telling you, and we on a unified platform on Bless Radio, based out of London, UK, coming all the way from United States. Your host, Sharenika Lachey, co-host Jasmine Williams, and our special guest today was Prophetess Antrionetter Meadows. That she gave us so much gems. I'm telling you, you're gonna have to go back and try to record, write down some notes, go back and record, write down some more notes. But I thank you all for tuning in. Stay in tune. Catch us next Tuesday. We will be back on again next Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Yeah, man. Nice talking. Next time I will have you. Next time.
Nice talking to you guys too.
Next time I will have you. Next time. I was very easy with you today.
Okay.
But next time.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye, Sharenika.
All right, bye, Unity. It's 12 o'clock over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye, you guys.
All right,
y'all
cool.
have a blessed one.
Bye.
All right, cool.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Hey. Yes, Unity. I would have never like a pack one. I was very gentle today.